Donald Trump has issued a ceasefire extension in the Iranian war. Now, this ceasefire, according to Trump, is issued contingent on this idea that they're going to try to wait and give Iran a chance to respond with a peace proposal to see what their response would be. Well, I don't really think anybody's expecting such a response. However, the blockade we're putting upon Iran is one that may crush their economy. And we're suffering, but the fact of the matter is, Iran's down to the point of having almost no revenues at all because they can't export anything, including their petroleum, which is what's been funding their war effort, the RGC, the Iranian military, the Artmesh, I believe is what you call the Iranian military, their army. But they have no money to pay their soldiers, even though they still have a lot of soldiers, and a lot of them are still on duty apparently. So how this is being transacted defies to be seen. But with the economy crashing, it's going to make it harder and harder for them to stay resilient, to still be operable. So we don't know what is going to come out of all this. What we do know is that this appears to be a ploy, and it might just be also buying time, one, for the Iranian economy to crash, and maybe they would come to the table, which I don't expect that. And they probably don't either. It may be to get the world more bought in. Hey, we did everything we could do. We tried. So if Donald Trump hits them, then it's like, look, I gave him this chance, I gave him that chance, and I gave him the other chance, and they didn't do anything. I would expect before we leave that he's going to pound them. I expect Iran is going to get some kind of hard pounding before we leave, and maybe some operations. One thing that's thought now is the military is preparing to hit the troops around the Strait of Hormuz and their facilities there to try to better open up the strait itself. It's also thought that there would be other actions, such as maybe going after that uranium, the enriched uranium inside Iran. And as I mentioned earlier, that if they were to do that, they probably would want to blow up power plants and bridges. And by blowing up power plants, among other things, it would lessen the ability of the Iranians to respond with their missile forces and maybe even the drones. Because, hey, I've dealt with missile launchers, military missile launchers at that. And yeah, they require power to operate. The missiles themselves will be on battery power once they launch, but and those internal batteries are usually thermal batteries. But before they launch, they're using the missiles themselves are powered from the launcher, and the launchers are powered sometimes from generator sets, but the generator sets require fuel, and to get the fuel, you got to have fuel, but you also got to be able to transport it. You got to be able to pump it. And without bridges and without a power grid, all that starts to fall apart. So it may be very difficult for Iran to respond as well if those assets are taken down in some quantity. I'm not saying they're really going to take out everything as Trump had suggested. And then again, they may not take out anything. A lot remains to be seen with regards to what they will do. Can y'all hear these cats? Anyway, so so supposedly he's saying he wants a deal. He wants a deal. He wants a deal. But the Iranians are saying we don't want to make a deal. And even one of the chief negotiators, who was the Speaker of the Parliament, Garibov, he said that, well, apparently, according to some stories, he's actually withdrawn from the negotiating team. But being on the negotiating team has had certain negative effects with the IRGC itself and the hardliners, because, as you know, they just come out. In fact, they just came out. In fact, Eric Gotchi himself came out today and says, well, there's no such things as moderates and radicals. And Rand says, we're unified, we're one. And so they were trying to destroy the narrative that there's internal division. But we do know that a lot of the hardliners are actually calling to have him arrested and executed because of the negotiations that had gone on previously. So he's probably just towing the party line. His life may depend on it. But apparently, this is part of why nobody wants to negotiate now, because the hardliners really snap back at just the negotiating process itself. They don't want to give up anything. They do not want to give up the nuclear enriched materials. In fact, they've said that those enriched nuclear materials are as sacred to us as the soil in our country. That's the actual expression they made. That's pretty crazy, right? So, in any event, this is, yeah, blessed are the peacemakers. We sure need some right now. Um, but the whole thing there is that this is not going to result in a satisfactory negotiated peace, not unless something major changes in Iran. It might be the case that if protesters overthrew the country, or moderates or something. That just right now, that doesn't look like it's in the cards at the moment. Now, eventually, once we back off, the protesters may find an angle, because really and truly, there's only a certain amount of time that a country can run when the majority of the people are against it. And that's the case there. So something may change big time. But in any event, the Iranians have continued to actually attack the ships in the Strait of Hormuz. They've seized some, they've boarded a couple of these ships and actually took them to the Bandar Abbas, I believe is the name of their, what is the name of their port? One of their ports they took a couple of these freighters into. I'll show you some articles on this stuff in a little bit, guys. But they have really been hitting a lot of that stuff, people trying to get, but once you get through the Iranians, you got to get through our blockade. We're not blockading anything except for stuff that's going in and out of the Iranian ports. That's the extent of our blockade. It's not the other traffic, but they are hitting the other traffic. So between the Iranians and Americans, there's not much getting through the Strait of Hormuz. There's reports of a few things running the strait, but by and large, the blockade is really messing some stuff up in terms of global trade, fertilizers. We're paying more to pump, and that may go up. Food prices can be expected to continue to go up. There's a lot of stuff you got to pay attention to as a prepper. So these are all things that we've got to really get on to here. Anyway, so all that said, this war is not showing much sign of letting up. There's those that are saying that, yeah, it's in kind of a pause right now. Well, you got to remember, we got the third, here's something, here's key point. We got the third aircraft carrier approaching down the Indian Ocean, the George H.W. Bush. The Lincoln is already down there around the Gulf of Oman, just south of the Strait of Hormuz. And the USS Gerald Ford is in the Red Sea. And apparently it's not, as far as I know, trying to make a move to get past the Bab el Mandeb Strait. That's a mouthful. Sometimes I just can't get that. That's the Strait of Tears, I believe is what I believe that's what that means in Arabic. So that's where the Houthis are been threatening to shut that down. Apparently they've not done it yet, but they would probably love nothing better than the bragging rights of trying to sink a U.S. aircraft carrier. I don't think they could pull that off, but still. So the aircraft carrier is probably staying out of that range. I don't know. They may surprise me. They may go through it. But here's the thing. Even though Donald Trump says, well, we'll just wait it out. We'll wait it out until they come to peace. He's also talked about destroying them if they don't make a deal. He's still talking that too. And here's the bottom line. This is what nobody else is going to tell you. It's that the Gerald Ford is already on 300 days, over 300 days of continuous operation. They're not going to leave it forever. We got a lot of troops deployed, and at some point, the Gerald Ford is going to come home. That said, it may not be that long from now. There is a certain window here. As the H.W. Bush gets closer, there is a certain window here that the United States has got the maximum firepower with 3 aircraft carriers in the area, plus the they've got the USS Tripoli, which is amphibious, smaller aircraft carrier, which is as big as most nations' aircraft carriers. And the same with that USS Boxer coming. We may wait till the Boxer gets on station, but it's going to be a little bit longer before it gets there, and it may not. But here's the thing: the time that Trump has the maximum firepower is a limited window. We don't know what the limit on that window is. But that's going to put some pressure to go ahead and execute the operations for another massive attack. So even though Trump says, sometimes says we can wait indefinitely, but then also warns them that he will destroy them if they don't make a deal, there's a limited time on that. At one point he talks, he says we can wait forever, but I don't believe that. I really don't believe they're just going to wait forever and ever and ever. I think something's going down. There's going to be an attack, I would imagine. Bubbles can sink ships. Well, yeah, they think that's what's happening in the Bermuda Triangle. A lot of people think there's methane releases that causes a lot of bubbles to come up, and suddenly the ships just aren't buoyant against air. Or a lot of bubbles and froth in the sea, and they just sink. Now, apparently, that methane in the atmosphere can kill plane engines, and so planes can go down too. So, in any event, there's a lot of stuff cooking, folks, in this regard, and I'm expecting Bang Bang to start again in not too distant future. We don't know when. Maybe this whole thing of extending the deadline is also waiting until forces get in position. Once all those forces are into position, that deadline extension lasts much longer. Because, like I said, there's a limited operational opportunity there when the maximum firepower is available. Now, that said, birds, well, if you don't have Okay, am I back on? Good. My Zoom crashed. Can y'all hear me now? Am I back live? Talk to me, guys. All right, I don't know. I hope I am. All right, yeah, it looks like I'm back live. Okay, good. All right, folks. So that's the deal. The situation is that something's probably going to go down a few days, week or two. I don't expect it's going to last forever till U.S. gets involved. My Zoom crashed. I don't know why that is, but it just crashed. That's not all the computer had before. Last couple of lives, I didn't have any issues at all. So I'm glad you can hear me. There must be a problem with Zoom. I'm going to have to find some other broadcast medium. Might have been an internet problem. I don't know. I'm using Starlink. That's pretty reliable. Every now and then it can glitch. That's pretty reliable. So, aliens, yeah, gremlins. Gremlins are getting me tonight. Alrighty, folks. So, I'm going to show you guys some articles, and we're going to go through the chat a little bit. We got a really late start here, so I do not plan to be up to the nth hour here tonight. I am getting up in the morning, so we got to make this go fairly PDQ. All right, let's do this. Let's gotta make sure I get the right stuff in the right place here. Bing, 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 bing. Hang on, guys. Let me go to this one first. Let me hit the share screen. And just in case you didn't know, folks, I did a video and I released it today. I wish it would quit playing it when I'm not showing it. And it's about Amy Eskridge, another video about her. This one is specifically about her. And I've had her in my videos. Now, this is on my Galactic Greg's channel. If you go to the community the post section on my Green Greg's channel, there's a link to this video. And she is now considered officially the 11th mystery scientist who either disappeared or died. In her case, she is no longer with us. And I knew her. So this one is personal. Ning Lee is also personal. Also knew Ning Lee. So I knew these two ladies. So I take this personal. And this is one of the hardest videos for me to do because I had to kind of not show any loss of composure. I had to, look positive through the whole thing. But it was a hard video to do. Also, technically, it was hard. It took me 2 days to actually produce it because I did take snips out of a 3-hour video. And the first time I tried it because I didn't have a video editor on this little computer. And I wasn't sure it could handle it, frankly. So I did I tried to do where I would just go through the tabs. As I was going through, I had that video dialed up to various timestamps. And when I went in and started trying to pull those up, YouTube reset every one at the same time. And it made that video so clunky, I had to re-edit the whole thing. And I had to, download that, I already had to download that video and re-snip it. And of course, I had to download a video editor. It took me 2 days to produce this thing. That was 2 days ending yesterday. It was so late, I didn't post it until today. So I was wanting to go up at the optimal time. So this is a story that it's kind of dear and near to me. And it's got 642 views, not as many as I get on views on this channel. So if you've not seen this, I highly advise you go look at it. There's some strange stuff going on, really strange stuff going on. And another thing that I didn't really mention, if you go into my channel on Galactic Greg's or any of my channels, and I say this is the last video I did, so it comes up first on videos, this link. But if you go in, I don't know if you can do this on a phone, but if you type in videos, there's a lot of stuff I can do on a computer I can't do on my phone in terms of searching. And then search on the most popular. You'll see that this is the first video I ever posted. These two, the first videos I ever posted on Galactic Greg 7 years ago. I started Galactic Gregs pretty soon after I started Green Gregs. And she asked me to take them down, so I did, because at first she was real happy because she was getting positive attention for the institute she was starting. She was getting potential investors. She was getting people who had projects they wanted to include in that research. And then it turned dark. She started getting harassed. So she asked me to take them down. I did until she passed. And then I made a video which combined those two, and that's got the most views on my channel so far on this channel. But I must add, we were in the public, there's a whole other harassment level to this that I didn't mention in any of my videos yet. We were at the Huntsville, Madison County Public Library in Huntsville, Alabama. And HAL 5 was the club I started in 1983, Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society. And I've seen HAL 5 name and listen to a few news articles recently. So we had done probably over 100 programs. So we did, for over 2 or 3 decades, we did a program once a month in that library. And sometimes we'd have other meetings. We did so many meetings there. And the whole time, it's a library. It was always quiet. Supposed to be. It's a library. Not supposed to be making a racket in a library. But for some reason, during the course of her presentation, they let somebody go into the room next door, supposedly doing construction work, and they ran a impact drill continuously. And, I didn't really think about it then so much, but later I got thinking about it. Nobody, when you're building something, runs an impact drill just continuously. Some people commented it sounded like Morse code. It wasn't Morse code. It's just brrr. It was some tool, power tool, I think an impact drill or something like that, that they were running in the other room. Well, it might not have been an impact drill. It was loud. It sounded almost like a little jackhammer. And it ran through the whole meeting. And it really messed up the audio and the video, but there was nothing I could do about that. It was what it was. But that may be part of the story. That may actually be the first sign of harassment. And that was the very first time she ever went public. And the only video of that, I made it. If it hadn't been for me, that never would have been captured. And there's been several other channels pirate. I had one channel pirate the entire video. David Wilcox, you were funny and a force for good to the last. Oh, yeah, there's several others stories that came out after I started working on this. I did not include this. So I'll probably have to come back and do an update. They've linked another propulsion scientist engineer from Huntsville. And so there's been other things getting linked into this just in the last day or two. More stuff's coming out. It's really strange business, really strange business. So if you want to know more, you want to see this, go back and watch my video. You can watch these videos, or you can go back and watch this one. So I highly encourage, and there's other videos I've done on this topic area, like this one here, Too Dangerous. Now, this is about the congressman and this is about the missing general and some other people. So this has been going on. So I did this video a month ago. But the story with Amy goes back, about 4 years ago, almost. So, and Ning Lee came up missing before that, but she was alive at the time. But we just didn't know her whereabouts. But then she got run over. Oh, and I don't think that was an accident. I think that car went up on the sidewalk and got her. It was ruled an accident by the local law. But, what does that mean? So, a lot of strange stuff, my friends. Anyway, all that said, I'll show that again later just for new people coming in. My friends, before we get in the news articles, y'all really need to know that most of the products you're buying today are contaminated. Seriously contaminated with chemicals, heavy metals. I've done some videos recently. I plan to pick up and do some more on this topic. I did one video where I showed you the test results of over, many brands of popular toothpaste and just all kinds of toothpaste, including child's varieties. And it's found over 90% of them are contaminated with heavy metals. Not to mention chemicals that would be in them, but heavy metals. And then there's chemicals and all kind of products that you use on a day-to-day basis. And these get absorbed. If you put them on your skin like a lotion, shampoo, these go through your skin and get in your bloodstream. So you don't have to eat it to get it. This stuff, dishwashing soap, dishwashing detergent, hand soaps, a lot of this stuff is full of chemicals. I don't use hand sanitizer, because what's the active ingredient? Alcohol, but then you add a lot of other stuff to it. Why? I use alcohol, just straight up alcohol for hand sanitizer. Always have. Anyway, all that said, there's just a ton of stuff here that you don't need in your body. But furthermore, these products, why are you getting so much of this stuff? They didn't used to all be so bad, but 12 companies have bought out over 550 brands, and they forced a formulation change in many of these products to make them cheaper, to make them last on the store shelf longer, or to increase flavor or texture, little things like that. Especially when they had to make up for the fact they substitute a lot of good ingredients with a bunch of junk. So these are things to think about, my friends. I would say you don't want to be using these products. And also because those same companies you'll find listed in that partners list, the World Economic Forum. They pay for you will have no privacy, you will own nothing, and you will be happy. and you will eat the bugs while the elites zip around in their jets and they're riding their tricycle in a 15-minute city. That's their plan for everybody. Put everybody, and that was a plan to round everybody up, take your property, take you off your homestead, and put you in a 15-minute city. And if you complied, you'd be allowed to ride your tricycle around. That's pretty much their plans for whoever they want to leave left in the population. And those companies are owned by these big asset management companies primarily. Well, primarily, but these asset management companies have controlling interest in these other companies. And the biggest one that has the most of that is BlackRock. And what does the head of BlackRock also run, Larry Fink? The World Economic Forum. Because Klaus Schwab retired. He took Klaus Schwab's place. So there you have it. So I gave you an alternative here. Go to switchwithgreg.com. And we've got a family-owned company, not part of that conglomerate. Family-owned company that produces non-toxic products without the chemicals, without the heavy metals, extensively tested, and even the cleaners are plant-based. So you support, and it's all made in America, so you support American jobs. So, hey, if you're overseas, just not supporting the House of Klaus and getting non-toxic products ought to make it worth it. Just come here and fill this form out. It goes straight to me. And then I share it with a friend who's helping me out. She's a member of the community, Lisa. You'll hear from Lisa. She'll onboard you into this. So, all righty, that said, let's move on to the news. And hopefully it's not the bugs to be eaten, right? So, Palantir signed the contract. Look, USDA is not here to protect you. I'm going to tell you that. I'll talk about that. If you remind me, I'll talk about that if we get to the news stuff. The USDA is not here to protect you. You just think it is. I know. My dad used to work for the USDA, and my dad was part of two ABC news specials, 1 hour news specials, where he busted them. He even made Secretary of Agriculture Earl Butz out to be a liar. And that was all on consumer safety. So here I'm here to tell you, it's been bad for a long time, and it's got a whole lot worse recently. So, in any event, so Donald Trump has come out and says, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Azam Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal, a peace proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade in all other respects remain ready and able, and will extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. Except he's also said they don't come to the table, bomb Iran. So we'll have to see how this plays out. And again, I think he's playing for time to get his forces in alignment there. But in any event, this article is maintaining that this is not a retreat, that Trump still has upper hand over there, given the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz. And what we'll see is that he is threatening to finish it up militarily if they refuse to make a deal, like I said earlier. And ding, 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 ding. Oops. Trump issues fresh straight threat, says there can't be a deal with the country unless the rest of the country is blown up. So he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, but essentially that's probably the truth. It probably won't be a deal. He's probably just going to bomb the snot at them, and they still won't make a deal, and we'll probably just leave at some point. And then leave it up to Israel to mow the grass, as Israel calls it there, every once in a while when the Iranians start getting back on their legs again. So But Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is saying, hey, it's just a matter of days until Iranian oil wells will be shut as U.S. blockade chokes the Carg Island storage facilities. Basically, they're filling up all their tanks. Once those tanks are full, they can't pump more oil. And when you can't pump more oil, apparently it causes a whole lot of problems in the oil wells themselves. Water seeps in, other things happen. The grade of the oil well degrades. They can't pump as much out. They lose capacity for what's available. And apparently it causes some severe maintenance issues with the pumping equipment itself. So there's probably several different issues involved, but apparently this is going to cost Iran quite extensively if they have to stop pumping. And this may be the real reason why, part of the reason why Trump is really holding off on the blockade or holding off on attacks and just maintaining the blockade, because it will have long-term economic damage on Iran, and Iran knows this. And so, just want to click over. So it says that the Iranians are going crazy over Trump's blockade, but they still refuse to meet because it's just part of their religious makeup, guys. They're not going to just give in. So at least not unless the duress is extreme. But it's not likely. I did a video over a month ago when I said likely outcome is would bomb the snot at them, leave them in rubble, and eventually would pull out, and then they would shake off the rubble and start to rebuild. But in retrospect, thinking about the kind of drought they're in, and they may have a very hard time getting back up to where they are, or where they were. But that doesn't mean it can't be dangerous. And China may help them. I wouldn't put it past China. So one of the things the Iranians are talking about, we can give our nuclear materials over to China. Wink, wink, wink. Then we won't have them. And then you don't have to worry about it. Wink, wink, wink. I expect China would just ferry it right back to them as soon as we withdraw, unbeknownst to us. And a shipment of fertilizer or something else like that. So if they did take it out, it doesn't mean it won't go back. Not unless you got somebody from the IAEA, it's International Atomic Energy Association, sitting there watching the stuff in China the whole time. Maybe so. Okay, we'll take it to China. Here's the deal: we got to watch it. We got to keep an eyeball on it. I wonder how well that would work. So, as I said, China's been seizing ships. They seized a couple and took them toward their own port. I guess this tanker is one of them here. So. It's hardball there. And, the economy of the world is liable to be slammed over all this. But it might be better than having a nuclear Iran who's been big on funding and developing terrorist organizations on 3 continents. So the command overseeing U.S. forces in the Middle East just got their 3rd aircraft carrier. Yes, sir. Well, it's not quite in place yet, but the H.W. Bush will be in a matter of days. Like I said, that might be the real threshold. It'll be sometime after that. I expect Trump will change his tone and be less agreeable for negotiations, especially when they deem they're getting short on time for the USS Gerald Ford to be in the area. So, again, here they're talking about targeting the Strait of Hormuz if defenses if the ceasefire talks fail, which I don't expect are going to go anywhere. So now this is the forces along the edge of the strait to try to knock them down where they won't be firing on vessels going through the strait. Can you do that adequately enough? That's going to be a tall order. I think probably not. But that's a really tall order. Because that strait is huge. The area around it is huge. And you got what's that island's name? Shoot. I just showed a picture of a minute ago, didn't even say it. Where's it at? One of these. I'm not going back. There's an island there with about 90,000 inhabitants. Kasem Island. Kasem Island's the name of it. Big island. It's almost as big as Long Island. and the Iranians have a lot of military forces, a lot of missiles there. So how do you take all that stuff out? Now, not along all the rest of the coastline. That would be a tough proposition. Very tough. Hey, Kerry. So, no, not Carg Island. Carg Island is the fuel terminal at the upper end of the Persian Gulf. We're talking about Kasem Island. That's a militarized island right near the Strait of Hormuz itself. Carg Island is up in the north end of the Persian Gulf. They are talking about taking Carg Island. That's a possibility. I think you still got to maintain if you do it. We would only do that if we're doing it to preserve it for probably a negotiating leverage with Iran or for the purpose of uh, holding it to turn over to the protesters once they assume power in Iran. Otherwise, we're liable to just blow that island in smithereens. So I think that's probably the most likely outcome. We'll see how that goes. Don't know for sure, but us taking it's one possibility and blowing it to smithereens is another. How it all plays out, we shall probably know in just a few weeks. So now there's an Iranian front group that's calling for people to take out Trump. They're talking about basically they're calling for people to assassinate him. So, and they're saying his daughter was on the verge of it 13 days ago. So that they could have taken out Ivanka. So, yeah, they're about to make this man mad. They're about to make him mad. I said, as of Wednesday, Iran fired on 3 ships in Strait of Hormuz and it seized 2, and that's the 2 that they actually transported to the port just yesterday. So let's go through here. I had to reboot my computer tonight before I did this because I got to the point that my memory was so eat up I couldn't even use my clicker. Nothing would click. Okay, is this article coming up or not? I hate it when an article gets like that and don't want to show. All right, we'll just move on. Oh, now everything's going to do that? Is my memory getting ate up again? No. So what's going on? I'm still live and lost the internet. See, I show these articles. You can actually see when I click on what's supposed to be in the article. Why is it not showing it? Page can't be reached. Oh, come on. Reload. All right. Pages is wearing thin on those. It doesn't come up. So U.S. tempts China by exhausting air defense munitions in the Iran war. Guys, I've talked about that. So it might be that Iran would try to make a move. China would try to make a move on Taiwan soon. Now they've already lost the advantage of April, just about. So it's not very likely they'll do it until at the earliest, probably September. So his family's is Achilles' heel. You got a good point there. You got a good point. He's got a big family. So I think we only had one president that wasn't married, Buchanan. There's rumors that he was gay. Well, we only had one unmarried president. Probably not the only one to fall in that categorization, but he was just the one that wasn't married. So, guys, our society is going unstable. You're seeing more and more of these mass activities of students, young people going wild, making attacks. Now there's been one lost his life and 5 injured and shooting at a shopping mall in Baton Rouge. Shopping mall. And then there is this case, if my browser will click on it. Come on. I think it's getting wonky on me now. She's not wanting to cooperate. Oh, shoot, it killed it. I hate it when you try to click on an article that don't come up and then it actually kills it. All right, what that article was, I was trying to show you, was an article from Blaze TV, which is Glenn Beck's organization, and it was talking about uh, 15 people videoing. No, there's a large crowd. Excuse me, a large crowd of people videotaping a 15-year-old boy getting beat to death. Just videotaping. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. And nobody do anything. A large crowd of people videotaping. So our society, hey, good morning, New Days. Our society is falling apart. This is what happens when, welfare societies, prioritize to mothers to not have the man at home, to not be married because they can get more money for welfare if they have, more kids and no daddy at home. So, and then the kids are raised without a father. Mama if she's had that kind of mentality, who knows about her state of morality? And she's probably busy, maybe trying to work or something else, who knows? And the kids are growing up feral. They're raising each other. So you're going to have huge disciplinary problems. The other aspect of it is that there's something called mouse utopia. I'm planning to do a video on this soon. Mouse utopia. These researchers ran 60 experiments. They set mice up. They gave them everything they needed. Started out with a small population, let them breed and breed and breed. And at some point, when the population got overcrowded or got crowded, even though they still had food and water and what they needed, the mice went crazy. They lost it. And a lot of the characteristics they show are the characteristics we see from the woke left today. And where are they concentrated in? Cities. City living messes with your mind. Not every mind, but enough of them. Every single one of those mouse colonies, all 60 of them, ended up with a total population collapse. I mean, like all of them died entirely, died out. Now, some people try to extrapolate that to society at large. Yeah, this is what's coming. We're all going to die because of the facts. I'm going into some more detail and not too distant future. But the real reality of it is that it's more of a mirror of cities. People in the countryside got a little different mentality. We're in a different environment. We don't act like those mice acted. And the people in the cities act like those mice acted. I'm serious. It's the analogies are just off the charts. And it really goes a long way to explaining what's happening with the liberal woke left, why they're getting so radical. And if this is an indicator, they're nowhere near the limit of where they're going, and they may reach it really soon. And so I've told you guys, if you're living in the cities, get out. Get out of the cities. That's the best advice I can give to anyone. You do not want to live in a city. The crowding creates problems. You need to be out. You can get some fresh air, not be so crowded in. See a little Mother Nature. Get what they we used to call a forest bath, which is basically immersing yourself in nature. Don't have to be in a forest, but any event can be just out in the desert somewhere. But get out in nature. Yeah, thanks, LBJ. Exactly. His war on poverty cost us trillions and hasn't solved any of the poverty. It just prolonged it and created a voting class to keep a certain party in power. But eventually, they too will be useless eaters as the world transitions into the great reset if they can pull that off. If, I said. Of course, the downside is they want to take all us and round us up and put us in 15-minute cities. That's why we can't go along with the kind of things the liberal woke left wants to promote. And that's among other reasons, that and open borders, among other reasons why I say we need to get out and vote this midterm. We seriously shouldn't just sit back. A lot of you guys don't like Trump, but it's not about him. It's about us, we the people. It's about the people. It's about sanity in a world of insanity. We don't want a party that's going to throw open the borders, be soft on crime, try to take up throw open the borders, let in gang members, turn criminals loose as soon as they get arrested, cut the funding for police forces, and then try to take up your means of self-defense. To me, that's the definition of insanity. But it fits the mouse utopia. Oh, yeah, it really does. I have to go into this. You'll be surprised by how close it is. Really surprised. I hope I get to do this video not too distant future. So the mouse utopia model, you can look it up. Go on the internet, look it up for yourself. There's a good starter. Okay, let's look at earthquakes. Japan got one up here, 5.0. I mean, there's nothing much over a 5.4 here on the map today. I got 3 big earthquakes in Japan. Well, I didn't mean to click it. This is off an islands down there. So Alaska, well, I'm going to try to move this stuff. Oh, we got a new one over here. Greece, 5.0. And Satia, however you say it. Got a bunch of them. Alaska. Beaver, Alaska. I think that's probably northeast of Fairbanks. Look at all these. We got one here in Cooter, Missouri. You think Uncle Cooter's there in Cooter, Missouri? Cooter. I kid you not. So what's happening in Cooter? What happens in Cooter stays in Cooter. But that looks mighty close to the New Madrid fault. Something to look out for. And Silver Spring, Nevada, again, 2 of them right there, actually. Like every day in Silver Spring, Nevada. Furnace Creek, California. That might be close to Long Valley Caldera. I don't know. Grapevine, California. You hear the song, Tell It on the Grapevine? Ferndale, California. Going, this is out in the ocean on the Juan de Fuca Fault. So Kamchatka's got a new one. 5.3. That's probably my close. That submarine base got destroyed. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm yawning here. How come it don't click? Come on. A clicker stopped working again. Happened to me earlier today. Oh well. That looks almost in New Zealand. Where's the inner one? Oh, the Kermadec Islands. My clicker is malfunctioning again. Last time I fixed that, I had to turn my computer on and off. And that was just a little bit ago. I wonder how my memory's looking. 93% of the memory's used. That might be why. All righty, space weather. We've actually had a new X-class flare. There it is. The first one in a few weeks. So it's been quiet the last few weeks. But it's on the limb of the sun, facing away from us. So we're not expecting much out of that. Card over here. So they're really only expecting a minor G1 geomagnetic storm. That's a good thing. You see the roars tonight. Looks like it's daytime in New Days Town. So it's already daytime there. It's still night where I'm at, and I got to hurry up and get done so I can get a few winks of sleep before my rooster starts crowing. So if I don't go to sleep before he starts crowing, I won't go to sleep. All right, we had an asteroid came by just a couple days ago that came inside of our geosynchronous satellites, 20% of the way between Earth and the Moon. So, and we got another one that's done that. yesterday. So this is the new one. Both kind of small. Now that one's moving pretty fast, especially it's not moving that fast, but it's pretty small. It could be a rocket stage again. But looking in the future, we don't see nothing like that. When we look in the past, we see all kind of near misses. Why is that? Because we're still discovering a lot of the asteroids out there, especially the smaller ones. We're still got a lot to discover. If we can be lucky enough to discover them all, we'll know all of them coming in advance. All right, we got 81 in the room now. We didn't have 81 earlier. So just in case you missed it, I highly encourage everybody to go to my Galactic Greatest channel and see my latest video on Amy Eskridge. I knew her. And so, and she's now considered the 11th UFO technology connected in scientist who's had mysterious endings. Several have disappeared, and some are no longer with us, including her. And I take this in kind of first. It took me 2 days to produce this video. So if you come here and watch this, I'd greatly appreciate it. And you might get to learn a few things about this stuff. So really tragic, really tragic. Let me put videos here in general. And I've got actually videos of her. If you look on her most popular, that's videos of Amy giving a presentation to the Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society, an organization I founded back in 1983. Oh, yeah, and there's some other videos I got on here that you might want to watch. Let's see. Let me go back to that one more time. The videos. Here's about the general come up missing, some other stuff, people missing. Congressmen talking about this stuff. Some of them have been threatened. And I got a video way back here. Here I was debunking the claims that there's a UFO base in Mount Hayes, or at least the one that's got U.S. military involved in it. Whoa, my screen running away from me. And this one we got to beat China to the moon. Now, if you really want to know why we probably don't have this technology, you need to watch this: anti-gravity tech suppression reasons. My thumbnail, I said, where's Elon's UFO? How come the richest man in the world don't get to? Why is he playing with rockets and not UFOs? And then I did this one on Army anti-gravity program. I pretty much prove in this video that the Army had an anti-gravity program for over 10 years. And their principal investigator, Ning Lee, she went dark. And something happened to her. So there's a lot of details about that in this video, and I will do a dedicated video to Ning Lee in the near future because it fits this overall context of what's going on. Anyway, sad stuff. I'm going to stop the share. Bada bing, bada bang. Come on. Stop share, bud. There we are. Anyway, so that's the news portion for today. We've covered our news. And a lot of people are waking up in the East. And some of us haven't gone to bed yet. So we got both going on right now. 77 watching. And I'm going to go through the chat room here real quick. Ding, 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 ding. Well, the chat room over here did not update. But we got lost when my computer crashed. Over here on the other computer, it's still going. That's weird. That's weird. Okay, so I'll look at it on this computer over here. See what people are saying, basically. How come it's not scrolling all the way to the top? Ow, stop that. I'll the cursor. There's a comment at the top I can't really see. Oh, well. Okay, oh, classy. Classy. All right, Kim Possible, how you doing? Kim Possible gave me some very nice donations this month. Very nice. Very nice. I really appreciate her. Salute to her for that. I mean, she's been very generous to her challenge and what we're trying to do here. And what happened? We got another donation from somebody. Again, Kim Possible, $20 donation tonight. She went to my website. Salute, Kim Possible. Thank you very much. I am most appreciative. I bet you're now my number one supporter. So I appreciate that very much. So let's see what other people are saying here. Can't stay. Meds making me sleepy. Okay, Carol, hope you had a good night. Guess you're gone. Angels listen, the good ones anyway. They're not all good. Fallen angels and others. You know, it says Satan's the prince of the world, so you can figure that most of his are here. So, you know, there's a the reference in book of Revelation about the dragon coming down from there's the war in heaven, he gets defeated, war in heaven. He comes to earth, he drags a third of the stars with him. Makes me wonder if every angel's got his own star system. And a third of them come to earth. Earth's groaning. All right. Excuse me, I hit my coffee, guys. Pardon me. I gotta hit the hay a little bit, but it's gonna take me. Usually takes me about an hour after I get done with my video, get everything wrapped up to go to bed. 63 Space Girl, how you doing? Kabbalah artist. Gizmo, how you doing? Yeah, David Wilcox. So I'm gonna have to do another video. My Huntsville family knew her too. Small world there. Okay, well, classy. So you're in Huntsville. Are you? Oh, wait, you said you're a Huntsville family. Are you in Huntsville? Yeah, I knew both Amy and Ning Lee. Ning Lee had been a member of HAL 5 until she used to come to our meetings. Back when we were doing a Halo rocket program, she came to our test firings. She spoke to HAL 5. I had one of my guys who worked on my Halo project, the Heart project, actually went to work for her. And one of our other members, I would need to get him on for an interview because he's still doing some interesting work, which probably means he might be at risk. But Tony Lynn Robinson. Tony Lynn Robinson is a longtime friend of mine, member of HAL 5 for years and years. He was a co-worker at Marshall. He's doing his own little research on the side, and Ning Lee's first scientific paper, he was a co-author. So I need to get him on the channel. He's still done some interesting stuff. So I might have to interview him if he'll do it. Maybe nobody in the field wants to talk to you anymore. Everybody's getting a target on their back, it looks like. So, well, hello, Space Girl. So, Palantir. Yeah. USDA, that reminds me. They were feeding chickens arsenic, and probably still do, to make them grow out faster. Now, because arsenic is bioaccumulative. The more when you get it in your system, it don't come out, at least not anytime soon. So the more you eat, the more you get. And so in order to maintain some so-called reasonable threshold, they were only supposed to feed chickens arsenic feed for the first few weeks of their lives. Then the last several weeks, I don't remember what the week threshold was, they were supposed to cut it off and have non-arsenic feed in the feed before the chickens were taken to slaughter. My dad had reported a lot of problems with the USDA. He actually blew the whistle on him. You know, he was a USDA employee. He blew the whistle on him. My dad was a whistleblower. And he had some coworkers that were also whistleblowers. And ABC News came to our house twice when I was a kid. First time I was in middle school. Second time I was in high school. I don't think I had a driver's license yet, but it's probably like, I don't know. First time Nixon was president, okay. Second time it was probably Carter already. But no, it would have been Gerald Ford if I wasn't driving yet. So, guys, they came to our house, and my dad says, "Hey, look, they're putting arsenic in the feed all the way up till they take the chickens out of the chicken house and take them to the chicken plant to be slaughtered." And so ABC News had quoted my dad saying that. Then they went to Earl Butz, the Secretary of Agriculture. Earl Butz was the Secretary of Agriculture under Nixon, and he was a guy who started the policies for trying to wipe out family farms and promote corporate farms, big, large corporate farms. Well, Earl Butz said, no, that's not true. That's not at all the case. They don't do that. They take that feed out and they're giving feed that don't have arsenic in it. The very next shot is my dad with ABC News crew at a chicken house where they just took the chickens. They took the feed out of the feed troughs and tested it, and it tested positive for arsenic. So when I was a little kid, I got to watch my dad make a liar out of the Secretary of Agriculture, Earl Butz, and the last name fit him all too well. He really did more damage to the American family farmer than anybody. So I got no love for Earl Butz. In any event, uh, and no homesteader should have any love for Earl Butz. He started a whole policy. Now, under the Trump administration, the current Secretary of Agriculture trying to turn some of that around, supposedly, and be more family farm promote. We're losing family farms. Most of the farmers today are in their 60s or older, and they're not being replaced. So there's going to be a big food crisis coming up on that regard. Guys, I've been telling you for a long time, grow your own food. I'll put a link to True Leaf Marketing when you order your seeds. You really need to grow your own food because food security is going to be a real challenge in the not too distant future. So the plan is for a full, Greg, I hate to say. Yeah, they would try to, absolutely. One of those articles on one of the articles I saw on these missing and dead UFO tech scientists, and so apparently some of the scientists that were doing nuclear research or other research were also connected to the same technologies. And so they go figure. But one of the claims on the articles is just right in line with what I've known for a long time. They either will try to make you look like a fool, put you out of business, put you in your life, or make you go black. And then after you go black, they still might terminate you, as we've seen with Ning Lee. It's a dangerous area, very dangerous field to be working in. And I've dabbled in a little bit, but I can't claim. Yeah. Anyway, that's why I asked some of the kind of questions I was asking to Amy toward the end of that presentation that she gave to HAL 5. So I was asking her about some of the more sticky aspects. I didn't even go on the technical side because the the funding was a big bugaboo problem, and the risk the researchers take. And that's where I focused in on. And you might have heard me mention that, most of the funding comes from ego investors. Yeah, absolutely. Same way with rocket companies. And I've had ego investment money myself for the High Altitude Research Corporation. So I know about this stuff. I was speaking from experience, folks. Exit video posted on Galactic Dredge by name. Well, thank you to Days. I appreciate that. I'm trying to get some people to go watch that. So far, last time I checked it had a 100% approval rating, which is pretty darn good for a video that's so controversial and it's had as many viewers as it's had. Patrick Carlson, how you doing? I guess I got some of our morning coffee club people in here already because we're so late tonight. Hey, we got Brian in the house. Hey, then, Brian. Lurking while working. Well, I think it's impossible, but you actually said hi to us more or less. You made me yawn, Greg. I'm sorry. Yeah, that is contagious. That is contagious. Uh, there's nothing new. This is nothing new. Wilcox had many issues. Yeah, he did. He had some mental stability issues. So, but his biographer passed away 2 days before him. Maybe it had something to do with him in his own life. I don't know. Strange stuff. Strange stuff. Your nephew works for USDA in northern Alabama. How about that? How about that? Well, that's where my dad was based out of at the time. He worked at Gold Kiss Chicken Plant. It was in Boaz, Alabama. And I actually worked there for all of 3 days hanging live chickens, which is the dirtiest job in the world. Makes digging trenches and ditches and foxholes in the army look like child's play. Oh, that's a nasty job. Ooh. Anyway, and but my brothers worked in the chicken. They didn't work hanging live chickens. They worked inside the plant. My brothers both worked in that plant. One of them has passed away. So my dad and all three of his sons had worked in that plant at one time. It changed to Tyson, and then they shut it down. But my dad was a USDA inspector, and he was also the president of the union of all USDA poultry inspectors in the Southeast. My dad was the union president, believe it or not, but he was also a whistleblower. Now, typically that would get you fired when you're talking against the your big boss, the entire head of the USDA, but he didn't make a liar out of him on national TV. So that was interesting. But that just goes into this product safety stuff I've been telling you guys about. It's serious. And my dad always said, don't buy chickens, cut up chickens, buy them whole. And the reason for that, they would find part of what inspectors look for was cancers and growths and contamination, bad things with the chicken. And when they would find a bad spot, they would usually go in the cutting bin. They would cut out the bad part, and the rest of the parts would be packed up. But she didn't think it was a good deal because whatever gave that chicken a cancer in one spot, we're talking young chickens. They're only a few weeks old when they go to slaughter, and they already had tumors and cancers in them. And this was back in the 70s. So just because you had a cancer in one spot don't mean that what caused it's not throughout the rest of the chicken. So buying chicken parts is a bit risky. Whole chickens are safer. Just there's your Green Greg's chicken buying tip for tonight. Food safety tip. I know sometimes it's cheaper to buy like legs and thighs. I have done it myself, knowing better, just because of the cost advantage, but just something to think about. Um, so nobody else tells you this, do they? Ton of YouTubers out there, but I bet you no YouTubers ever told you if you're gonna buy chicken, buy whole chicken, and then give you the reason for it. Yeah, my dad passed away in 2020. He was 3 weeks shy of being 99 years old. Uh, I used to I used to work and play in my grandparents' chicken house on Sand Mountain. That's where I grew up. So arsenic feed explains my mentality. I grew up on Sand Mountain on Classy. Do I know you? Is there a chance I might actually know you personally? You got an SM in your logo. Is that for Sand Mountain? It's where I grew up. I lived on Sand Mountain till I joined the Army. I lived on Sand Mountain till I was 19. Then I went for training to South Carolina, Fort Jackson for a basic and my EIT. Then I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and was there during the Iranian hostage failed rescue operation. And then I went to Fort Greely, Alaska, and was there for 2 years and a month. So you can cut mold off cheese. That ain't the same. Mold grows from the spot. It contaminates and grows from there. Cancer has root causes that can exist throughout an organism. So it's not the same as mold. Now maybe they had, and you're not going to have, the chickens aren't going to be moldy just minutes after they're slaughtered. I mean, they go through that plant pretty fast. After they slaughter them, they go through really quick. Uh, so Yeah, there's no problem with cheese doing that. Absolutely. Because cheese is kind of a fermentation process making cheese anyway, right? And some cheeses they grow mold in on purpose, like blue cheese. It's a specific kind of mold that gives it that characteristic, and that's a lot of cheeses are grown that way or cured that way, let me say. Military brat, but Summers and Fife. Okay. I went to high school in Albertville. How does Sand Mountain stand up if it's sand? Well, the base is sand rock. It's got sand rock, and then it's got below that a layer of limestone. But Sand Mountain and Brindley Mountain both have that sand rock cap the upper layer of rock. And that rock, sand rock can go down 100 feet. The soil is a nice loam. It's a mixture of sand and other organic uh, matter. It's actually one of the best places to grow gardening there is anywhere. Anywhere. So Fife, uh, you're funny, honey. Fife had that's where a lot of UFO reports out of Fife. They call it the Fife Banana. And one of my best friends actually saw one there. So I kid you not. One of my best friends, and he is an aerospace professional, by the way. He just happened to be driving across Sand Mountain, coming back from Atlanta, I think, because that's one of the shortcuts going from Huntsville to Atlanta. There's no direct road or major highway between Huntsville and Atlanta. You got to kind of snake around if you want to take the back roads. You're either going through Burma, otherwise you're either going down to I-20. I used to go to Anniston and go down that way sometimes, or you go up around Chattanooga and come back down. Done that too. So Cooper Wright grandparents. I knew Coopers and I knew a bunch of Wrights. Definitely. Now my oldest brother, Jimmy, had a church and preached in Fife for some time. My oldest brother preached there. Now, Fife, there's a highway that runs up and down San Mountain called Highway 75. Fife is on the north side of Albertville. I grew up on the south side. If you could draw, since we got a Sand Mountain related person, if you could draw a triangle between Albertville, Boaz, and Douglas and put a pin in the center of that triangle, that's pretty much where I grew up. So, we'd work and go to church in Boaz. I went to school in Albertville, but the kids in the neighborhood where I lived prior to that had gone to school in Douglas, and later they started going to school in Douglas again. So Vanilla Mountain. I don't know about Vanilla Mountain. I know about Chandler Mountain. I know about Brindley Mountain, Lookout Mountain. I think Lookout Mountain's limestone. There is Skyline Mountain. There's several flat top mountains in that area, plateau mountains. Sand Mountain's one of them. Sand Mountain's 25 miles wide and 75 miles long. It runs almost from Chattanooga, Tennessee, to almost down to Birmingham. To the east of it is Lookout Mountain, where Battle of the Clouds was fought in the War of Clinton's Estates, famous battle, and Brindley Mountains to the west. And I got a lot of family that lives on Brindley Mountain in the Holly Pond area, if anybody knows that area. So, yeah, I knew a bunch of Coopers and a bunch of Wrights. In fact, I had a English teacher and homeroom teacher in the ninth grade was a Coach Cooper. I believe he was a basketball coach. So at Albertville, I don't know if you're related to him, but there were a lot of Wrights and Coopers in areas, especially a lot of Wrights. I don't know why this chat room here on this thing didn't keep up. I don't know what you mean by vanilla mountain. All right, we've been on for 73 minutes. We've gone through the news, through my monologue, through the articles, gone through the chat room, and we shot the bull and chewed the fat. Probably from the bull, right? And I've yawned and put Ryan to sleep. Almost. So, yeah, Sand Mountain's an interesting place. It, for a long time, was considered one of the most populated rural areas in the United States. A lot of small farms. In fact, most of the area where I grew up wasn't even, they didn't start settling in that area to the 1880s. So you still had a lot of frontier aspects in the South. Everybody thinks the frontier was out west, but there were a lot of areas like that even in the South. All righty, folks, it's time to guess. How many eggs did I harvest today? Time to guess. We're about to wrap up here. How many eggs did I harvest today? What time is it? Ooh, it's only 3 in the morning. Holy smoke. My wrist to be calm before I go to bed. We we lived in Alabama since 1837. All right. Very good. 1837. All right. Peppermint Patty got it. Second guess is right. Peppermint Patty guessed right. I only got 3 eggs today. I got 8 yesterday, but only 3 today. So I walked in the chicken coop and I said, I'm going to change all the names, all you hens, to stew pot. Yes, I got. Hey, Veronica, how we doing? Veronica's an old space friend of mine from our National Space Society days. Yep, got 3, just 3. Peppermint Patty guessed correctly. All right. Now that said, how many of those 3 eggs are Easter eggs? How many Easter eggs I get today? Hey Veronica, have you seen my video on Amy Eskridge, the one I posted today or no yesterday? Check it out. How many Easter eggs I get? 1. Peppermint Patty, you won both guesses. 1. Peppermint Patty was first. 1. A lot of people guessing 1. Yeah, it's either going to be 0, 1, 2, or 3, right? That was a very limited guess to make. Yeah, it's 1. So yesterday I had 8 eggs and 3 of them were Easter eggs. Today I only got 3 eggs. So here they are. So I can get a white light on here. I mean, you can kind of see them. That's the Easter egg right there. A little white light on it. I like to make little omelets in a scrambled omelet. I do a scrambled omelet in a paper bowl and microwave it. But I usually do 3 eggs. I take 3 eggs, scramble them up, put a dollop of olive oil in it, a whole bunch of pepper, some turmeric, chopped up onion, sometimes some pepper or something else, hot pepper, and sometimes maybe a tomato, part of a tomato. Chop it up, mix it up, nuke it for 2 or 3 minutes, and then I put cheese in there. Put shredded cheddar cheese, and nuke it another couple minutes, and that's done. TVA eminent domain. That's from Langston. Oh, I have 3 eggs to eat. There we go. Yeah, Ryan has a bunch of chickens. He's had chickens for a long time. I thought my chickens would be laying more eggs, but no. So what class he's talking about there is that the TVA, the best farmland in Alabama was on the river, Tennessee River, in northern Alabama. It was on the Tennessee River. A lot of good farms were down there on the river. And I know you see all these historical pictures that, all the land in Alabama was washed out and everybody was dirt poor and somewhere. But the best farms are down there on the Tennessee River. Now, those kind of, it was a poor time. People were poor. We're talking about Depression era. But some of they probably took the worst of the worst to make photos and use them for their TVA propaganda. And I knew other people that had property and families that lived on the bottom near the Tennessee River. Well, when they built the dams, they declared eminent domain on a lot of communities, a lot of farms. They went in and cut out all the timber and moved everybody out. And a lot of people got displaced. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Toward the end, Just when they think they're about to get executed by that lawman, the sheriff was after them, they all get hit by this big flood of water from the Tennessee River, which was humorous. It didn't really occur like that. It kind of rose over time. It didn't come in as a big wave and wipe everybody out. But I guess that made for a humorous movie. But a lot of people, and another thing, they cut the trees down before they did. They showed a house there, and there was this house, uh, but the house was abandoned because it was eminent domain space. Girl, I'm coming over for breakfast. I have. There we go. Kerry Johnson, do you think those scientists could contradict or dispel the fallacies of the upcoming UFO reveal? Oh, there's an interesting question. That is a very interesting question. Yeah, possibly. Possibly. They get old, they don't lay. Yeah, that's true. My hand's probably about 2 years old, I think. So that might be getting a little bit on the old side. And I do know that. So all right, so that's a really good question because I don't think the reveal is going to be accurate. I'll be honest. They're not going to tell us the truth. Do not believe it. Whatever they reveal is going to have an agenda. In a prepper. I have them saved in a prepper. Where are you? All right, so I seriously doubt what we're going to see is going to be the truth. That's my humble opinion. I've got my opinions about what things are out there. I've talked about some of them galactic grids. There's some things I don't talk about, and for good reasons. Some things I just don't talk about. It's dangerous to talk about some things. So some things you'll never hear me say. 45 miles northern of the Mississippi headwaters. All right. So, but if there's a reveal, I ain't gonna trust it. And again, one thing I've told you guys in the book of Revelation, there's this thing called the Great Deception. And the Great Deception is supposed to be so powerful that even the elect would fall for it. So you better be skeptical. Very, very skeptical. Maybe Trump's the Great Deception. Maybe he's a covert agent of the deep state. Kind of think probably not now, but can't rule it out because this deception is going to be so good that people are just going to fall for it. And I think more likely it's on the topic we're talking about here. Yeah, I've lost my job. Today was the last day I had a full day of vacation to charge. I can charge 2 hours tomorrow, and that's it. Nothing else to be billed in my job. So I'm going to try to figure out a way maybe to grow some microgreens. There's not a big market here. Maybe I can sell a few, sell some stuff in my garden. No income. Might get a little unemployment, but I got bills that's going to completely consume more than that. Man, for you and your expertise. Well, thank you, Kerry. Appreciate that. YouTube has not paid that much. I'm talking, I don't make $1 an hour for what effort I put in here. But I am going to refocus what I do on here and try to turn it around. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to probably try to come up with some digital books and products, maybe eventually some courses. I'm going to do maybe I'll open another channel that more focuses on grid down. I do have a lot of grid down content on this channel, but it's kind of hard to find because I've got like 1,700 videos, and most of them are news videos like this one. Uh, so I think it's important we have to be a niche to be on YouTube now, not general all purpose. Now, maybe that's changing, but I'll have to go check that out. But all tainted, you choose the lesser of the evils. What is that? What are you talking about? It's all tainted. Oh, I am a prepper. Same here. Very good. Uh, what's tainted of classy? Craig Miller. How you doing, Craig? Looking into megalithic architecture that survives the longest on Earth, the walls of Machu Picchu and smaller scale I have seen down on the creepland in the mountains. Interesting. Hey, Cowboy. Cowboy Roy, forbidden technology comes from the fallen angels and their Nephilim descendants. Yeah, that's what I think most of what we see today is. They're supposing to be good angels, but like I said, the earth was apparently Satan's planet. Politicians, oh yeah. That's what I call it, politics, mini ticks, mini bloodsuckers. Does that not fit? Does that not fit? Anyway, but I don't want the ones in power that's going to throw the border wide open, be soft on crime, and try to come take my nugs. So there we go. I, I will lean toward one side. I think most of the Republicans are corrupt, but I think most of the Democrats are downright evil, demonic. Just look at hey, fun time. Look at AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Schumer, Chucky Schumer, up Chuck Schumer. And then our own state's got Skid Mark Kelly. Anyway, stay out of the woods in May. Many ticks. Stay out of the woods. That's what you meant to say. Yeah. I don't know. I think I'd rather trust the ticks in the woods than the politicians in D.C. I've ran the halls of Congress. I know what it looks and smells like in all those buildings. I've been in the Capitol building. Not been in the White House. I've been in the Capitol building. And I've ran the halls of Congress and all those buildings that got there where the congressmen have their primary offices. St. Nick, there you go. All righty, folks. So it's late now. I got to go. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. My roosters are going to be crowing the time I hit the hay. So I got to really put a move on it. Look no further than the military industrial complex. Oh, yeah. There's that. Senator Graham, he's really ensconced into that, is he not? As in the days of Noah. Yeah, it does smell like it. A whole lot. A whole lot. Minimum, friends. But the worst places are the cities. We got anybody in the house tonight that lives in a city? Do any of you live in a city? You don't even want to be close to a city if you can avoid it. You don't even. No, I'm out here in the deserts, But I got a lot of great conveniences. It's only 9 miles to the nearest store. See, we got a lot of conveniences here. It's only 9 miles to the nearest store. Closest Walmart's 20 miles away, roughly. Hey, Eddie, how you doing, buddy? I know you don't live in a city. Shoot, where he lives makes my place here look like a city. He is remote, and that's great. Have a restful night and a blessed morning. Well, thank you, Space Girl. Downtown. All right, Davis, you might want to think about living downtown. You might want to rethink that because, you know, you got to consider that little thing I was talking about earlier, Mouse Utopia, not pretty. And the other thing is that if the grid goes down, it's going to be all cannibals in the city. You don't want to be there. Trust me. You do not want to be there. The nearest stores are the most expensive. Yeah, that's usually the case. That's usually the case. Especially if they're remote, they can charge more for stuff because a lot of people will just go to the store and they won't go any further. They don't go into town. I hadn't been into town in about a week. Well, I got to limit my excursions because my income is going zip to nothing. So I got to figure out how to get by, how to pay my Starlink bill, my phone bill, my insurance, and credit card debt. I got a lot to deal with there. How to handle that. Can't pay me to live in the city. I wouldn't live in the city. I hate cities. I knew days, not anymore. I saw the writing on the wall. Lived in Baltimore, Philadelphia, in and out of D.C. Lived in Bear and Moose. Oh, now I live in Bear and Moose. Yeah, let her go. First 6 years totally off grid. I'm ready. Yes, you are. Roy Rogers. Let's see. What's up, Cowboy? We're all born to live biblically historic times. Someone, please record it all on something that will last a millennium. All right, get your rocks out and start carving, folks. Get out the rocks and get a chisel and start writing. Maybe build you a little megalith, a little rock structure, and put it all in there. Of course, will they understand the alphabet? You know, maybe that's why they actually used symbols back in the day. Alphabets might be hard to crack, although we did crack cuneiform, which was in the Sumerian tablets. Off grid USA, that's right. Eddie. I'm off grid here too. All the light you see, the power that I'm broadcasting through, all comes from my solar arrays. Every bit of it. We just doubled our solar system. Oh, wow. Doubled it. Oh my gosh, how'd you do that? Anyway, guys, hey, we got to call it a night here. It is after 3 in the morning here. I've been up all night. Indeed, rocks will cry out. Interesting. Interesting. Also says the leaders of the world will be hiding in their caves, begging for the rocks to fall on them. What they're going to see coming is going to so terrify them. See, they've convinced themselves that God don't exist, or that their Luciferian thing is the real God, or that they can get away with the stuff they're talking about. Like, that that what's his name? What's his name? Noah Harari, who is like the right hand, the tech man for Klaus Schwab. I showed snips of him in the video. He says men invented God. You don't have a soul. And basically everybody's a commodity in his estimate, a commodity to be dealt with. Uh-uh. That's what they want. That is the world of living in 15-minute cities and eating the bugs that they want to lure you into. We don't want to go there, my friends. Do you have batteries? Yes, I've got golf cart batteries, lead acid. Why lead acid? Because they don't have to have battery management systems, microchips built into them for charging. They are pretty simple. Invented men then. Well, the good Lord. I'm just telling you, I ain't saying it. That's what Noah Harari is saying. I show y'all clips of the video from him sometime back. Go back and look at some of my videos from talking about the House of Klaus. So I'll have to pull that up sometime. Anyway, guys, we're gonna call it a night. It's late. It's late. Cowboy. Is the star system nemesis so close? I don't know, but astronomers aren't seeing it yet. Sonia Green on the main course in 15-minute cities. Yeah, that's it. That's really it. Yeah, they want to put everybody in rack and stack ISO container houses, ice and stack down by the track, so they can take you off to the place with the smokestack. No, you don't want to be in a 15-minute city. You're doing an odyssey. Hey, Stephen Wilson, how you doing? All righty, folks. We're going to call it the movie Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I knew the science director of that movie, Frederick Ordway III. I knew him. Well, if you ask me one of these days, I'll pull up a video showing him, myself, Burt Rutan, and Conrad Dannenberg on stage. And I was introduced by George Whitesides, who I hired to be executive director of the National Space Society, who is now Democratic congressman out of California, of all things. Greg, did you know that scientists died from Huntsville? You need to go back and look at my video I just posted on Galactic Greg's. I knew personally, well, I wasn't a close friend, but I knew Amy Eskridge and I knew Ning Lee. I knew both of them. And in fact, in the last video the first video of Amy Eskridge was the one that I recorded. That was her first public appearance. If I had not recorded that there'd be no video record of her talk to Hal 5 other than the chart she posted that was posted on the Hal 5 website. And the very last video she ever made, she mentions me in that video. And I put that in my last video. So go to my Galactic Greg's channel and search for my last video I ever posted, and also search for the first videos I ever posted. Search for the most popular ones. They're all Amy Eskridge. The very first video I posted on Galactic Greg's was Amy's talk to Hal 5. So go back and go check. And if you don't know where my Galactic Greg's channel is, go to the post section of this channel, and there's a link to it. That's what she said, Eddie. Which kind of creeped me out at first. I didn't, and she's made a big point of saying it like 2 times. It's like, whoa, wow. Well, if she had stuck closer to me, nothing would ever happen to her. I know one thing, you know, I wish somebody would come and try to take me out. I got some hungry worms. I pack. So there's your lesson. Here's your prepper lesson for the night before we go.